You're listening to Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan, and Friends. And here's Russ.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan, and Friends. And as always, have Michael Maher with Prime Lending on the phone. How you doing, Michael?
Doing well. Happy to be here and excited to school the masses on all things mortgages.
That's right. It is ninja time, ninja mortgager. And that's what you guys are. In fact, I believe that. You know, you guys at Prime Lending step up to the plate and make phone calls in this crazy extreme seller's market that often help us get transactions at Keller Williams put together simply by having a third party explain some of the processes in lending. There's so many stories out there and so many processes, and there's a lot of assumptions I'm finding that are just not true. And you are great about kind of getting to the meat of the matter, as they say, and figuring out what's real and what's not real. And just want to acknowledge you guys for doing that and being willing to do that. I mean, not everybody will do that in lending. One of the things we talked about is creativity in general. And so maybe you could kind of share, like, what separates you from a case study, give me an example of some of the things that you're doing when you're looking at things from a different angle, outside the box, as they say, that are allowing people to move forward and get those dreams captured.
Yeah, exactly. No, I appreciate that. So we like to think of ourselves as an out-of-the-box lender. There's a lot of banks and institutions out there that are really good at taking 20% down, 800 credit score deals when those happen. However, you know what? That's not the reality. There's a lot of people that have gone through things in the past and are currently, they just have different situations. So I had a recent one where someone was involved with another lender. We won't name names, but cookie cutter. They're on TV a lot. And basically they went through the process. They actually listed their home. They got into contract on a brand new construction that was being built, ordered the appraisal, and then all of a sudden they got a phone call that said, "Oh, you're no longer approved. You're self-employed and you need to file another year's taxes and we can't do the loan." So they called us up in kind of a panic. You know, their whole life's uprooted at this point. And they said, "Is there anything we can do?" I took one look at it and saw exactly what was needed to make it work. With everything that happened with 2020 and self-employment and guidelines changed. So we had to call an audible. All lenders actually did. And those who learned the guidelines well were able to succeed through that. And it was a very simple mistake or oversight on the other lender's part, where all we had to do was make a couple of adjustments, and we closed on in September. So basically it's something as simple as what somebody else may not look at. And when you're dealing with a place that may be more like a call center or, cookie cutter, think inside the box, simple things can just get overlooked, and that can ultimately lead to having to fall out of the deal when in all reality you didn't have to.
Yeah, I call that in real estate, a lot of people look at things and you really need to look through things.
Yep, exactly. That's a good point.
And get hyper-local focused on each transaction, right? Like what's really on page 2 halfway down, not just the cover letter. And you guys do that. You guys take it personal. You have pride in what you do, and we do too. That's one of the things that makes us a good team in a partnership, or allied forces, I like to call it. It's important that we really do understand what the role is for each one of us, from title to escrow to lending to real estate. And you have some programs. You mentioned something where the world is pivoting constantly and adjusting constantly. So is ours in real estate law. If we're not up to speed, sometimes having 20 years in the experience doesn't always help you. If you haven't adjusted, you're going to be doing things that were 10 years ago, and that could find you in trouble, right? That's not how we do them anymore. Well, you guys are really up to speed. So tell me what's going on in the world. There's a lot of shifting. Are we still looking pretty good on interest rates again this month?
Yeah, I think we are. However, there's some recent changes as far as the Feds purchasing different securities and possibly slowing down on that. So I think, things are going to start to shift a little sooner than we may have been expecting. All that to say, we don't really know what the federal government's going to do from day to day. They can tell us one thing, and then all of a sudden 6 months later they're doing something totally different. So as of right now, I mean, we're still in historic lows, high threes, or not high threes, high twos, low threes, obviously subject to change. But right now, if you're thinking about doing something and you can afford the home, now is an amazing and a historic time that we're going to look back on, and a lot of people are going to wish that they jumped at the opportunity, even if they were paying a little bit more than they wanted to for the home in the first place.
Yeah, and there's so many programs available right now to everyone. I know as an example, you're working with my son, who's a retired sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, got a job locally as an electrician at a company, and you're helping him get into a conventional enhancement loan. And there's a good example where the inspection came back. There was a lot of little stuff, some big stuff that I thought might be called out. Well, the appraiser didn't call it out. And he's able to now go, okay, what do we want to fix? So we fix it. And we can add that to the loan. So what that means is you got the appraisal, came in at value of what we sold it for. Then we have a couple contractors giving us bids for some improvements. Then you basically resubmit that to the appraiser. The appraiser looks at it and says, does that add value? Does it meet up to what the amount of money it costs to fix those? And then after the seller's already been paid, then there's another payout to the contractors. Is that correct?
Yep, you got it. And the contractor actually works with our renovation department and gets their draws and can submit when the work's been completed. And it's kind of like a mini construction loan basically, and the contractor works directly with us, and it allows the seller to get paid sooner and the work to start after the loan's already closed, so that it's not holding up anything, and the borrower is able to get repairs and upgrades and things that they want, so that they can move into the home and then maybe focus more on sweat equity and doing some things that they want to do.
And that's all rolled into one mortgage for the buyer.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, so unlike the days of yesteryear where you'd have to go get a second mortgage perhaps, which would be tough to do because you just bought it, there wouldn't be a lot of equity in that. This way, in an extreme seller's market, what I've been coaching my son on is to buy homes that other people aren't as excited about because they may appear to have issues. This home was 90 years old. A lot of work, but good bones, right, on 3 lots. So all of a sudden, he's sitting there in a position where he could move from one lot to the next lot to the next lot. And although there's a lot of sweat equity to do, he's in the perfect situation to do it with the electrical trade that he's in and his buddies that are all ready to work for beer and tacos, beer and pizza, right? So
universal currency right there.
Yeah, the Bartertown USA of 24-year-olds. Right. So that's exciting. But how many lenders know that trick? I don't know. Not very many. Not very many, because I've asked them. And to know it well, they might have heard of it, and they might have said, well, that's that FHA rehab thing we used to do in the 80s. I hate that. Okay, well, first of all, there's like 17 programs on this enhancement loan, and it's not the same thing that everybody remembers. It's a completely different loan, and I wouldn't have my son do it with Michael if I didn't believe in Michael and Sharon Crockett at Prime Lending. So if that's not an endorsement for you, I don't know what is, because you're doing an impeccable job for my son and everybody else that I talk to. The other thing that's really strange about you, you're like a unicorn. You answer your phone.
Imagine that.
What the hell is that about? I don't know. People aren't supposed to do that in the sales business.
Right, I know.
Go to voicemail. Anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. One more thing I wanted to touch on before we wrap it up is you mentioned at a sales rally the other day that if you're in a forbearance, there might be some refinance opportunities for you. We got about 2 minutes left. Could you kind of touch on what you meant by that?
Yeah, definitely. So with everything that's happened and people are now exiting their forbearance plans, many with repayment plans that they're not having to really do anything. The loan has been modified and they're just continuing as is. There's some other options for people that may have not been able to formulate a plan. There's some pretty cool products as far as refinancing goes that allows people that might be in a sticky situation to get out of that with where there may not have been that option in the past. And all that's to say is you're allowed to go much higher on your debt to income ratio, which is all of your debt divided into what your income is. It gives us a percentage that typically we have to stay under. But in this case, it allows you to go much, much higher. And it also allows you to take advantage of refinancing if you are in forbearance, if you have been, to avoid foreclosure or having to even sell the home. So if you have questions, you can always reach out to me. My number is 425-760-8824. You can text or call me at that number, and we can look over your actual situation and see what the specifics are to see if it's a program that works, or maybe there's another out of the box, creative option we can come up with to help keep you in your home. Or if it is time to sell, we know a lot of good realtors, obviously at Keller Williams, that can help you with that, and go from there and keep you out of foreclosure if that's what it looks like it's coming to.
Yeah, well, that's great stuff. As we come to the end of the segment, be proactive, not reactive. Give Michael a call. They might have some credit report issues you need to work through based on this forbearance. There might be a lot of things. So don't hesitate. It's coming down the pipe, and it's unavoidable. So if you're in forbearance, call them. Hey, as always, tough times don't last. Tough people do. And have a good day. I appreciate you tuning in one more time to Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan and Friends. Have a great day.
It's a brand new day, just came my way. I bought a new home, yeah, home sweet home, oh, home sweet home. Keller Williams, I love my dream home. Yeah, I love my dream home. Home sweet home.
The preceding program is sponsored in part by Keller Williams, Prime Lending, and Frontline Real Estate.
More complete coverage, more breaking stories here. News Radio 560 KPQ Wenatchee.